Hello lovely people, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all well. Today we are doing a review. We're not doing our normal thing. If you want to know what my normal thing is, then stick around and we'll get into it in 2 seconds. But today we're going to talk about Be More Chill, currently playing at the old joint stock in Birmingham. So if you want to know my thoughts and feelings on this show, stick around. We'll get into it in 2 whole seconds. So yeah, we are back. Like I said, we're not doing our normal 2 video system on this show for the main reason it has got just over a week left. I want to make sure this video goes up and doesn't get lost in the fray of other videos that I'm doing in the upcoming time. Plus I'm still on holiday from work, so I've got things going on. I just wanted to make sure this video went up. So normally for a show I do 2 separate videos, the nervous guide and then the review. The nervous guide is usually what you need to know before you go into the show. The review is what I think about the show, so my thoughts, my feelings, people I enjoyed, things I enjoyed about the show, etc. For this video I am amalgamating the 2, so I will talk briefly about the things you need to know before you go into the show, but we're also going to talk about what I thought of it. Okay? So let's quickly get the things you need to know about the show before you go in. There is a few moments of flashing lights and they're not insane. The room that the theatre is in is compact slash intimate. Intimate is a good word. So the lights used are for that space. So there are flashing lights that are used. There is not necessarily strobe lights. All the lights come from the ceiling, so everything is pointed down, nothing goes in your face, if you will. So I just thought I'd make you aware of that. There is a few sounds for things like electric shocks. They're not loud sounds, but they are sounds there to be aware of. And then also wanted to mention, as we all know, one of my triggers, one of the things I do not enjoy is a visible gun. I am usually affected more by loud sounds, visible guns, violence, gunshots, loud sounds. There is a visible gun in the first song of the second act. It is never fired. It is used as a prop because it is a costume party, it's a Halloween party, and one of the characters is, I don't know, but he has a gun. He holds it. At the end of the song finishes, the gun goes off with him and then he comes back on because he's the lead character of Jeremy. That is pretty much all I need to know, or need to let you know about the sensory side. Content wise, there is a little bit of discussion surrounding mental health and suicide. Yeah, that is the basic 2 things that I wanted to mention. So there we are. Getting into the review, let's talk about this show. So I am going to put my hands up and say I had no idea what I was getting in for with Be More Chill. This decision to see the show came from 2 places. Number 1, the reviews for this show so far have been top notch, and I was inquisitive to know if I would agree. The second reason is because this has been done by the team at the old joint stock, and if you've been here before, you will know that I pretty much enjoy every single thing that that team put on. I discovered this theatre, it is in Birmingham. I discovered this theatre a few years back when I offered my services to my friend who runs a blog by the name of Theatre and Tonic. I offered my services to go and see a show for her and review it. I had no idea where the theatre was at that point, but it has now become one of my favourite places to visit for theatre in Birmingham. So once they announced this and that the tickets were selling pretty well because the feedback so far has been excellent, I knew I needed to grab a ticket and go and see this show. Like I said, I knew next to nothing going into this show. In fact, the only thing I knew was that it involved the song Michael in the Bathroom. That was the limit of my knowledge. I was aware that there is kind of a cult classic with this one, but what I wasn't aware of is that it is based on a novel by the same name by, and I'm probably going to pronounce all these names incorrectly, so get ready, by Ned Uzzini. The musical book has been written by Joe Tratz, and the music and lyrics for the show have been written by Joe Iconis. There we go. So knowing nothing, I went in and I have basically written 2 separate synopsises on this show, because once I got home I was like, oh, I've been to see a show, and they're like, what's it about? I was like, wow. So my book synopsis is thus. This show follows the lead character of Jeremy, a teenager just trying to survive high school, when he learns about the Squip, a discovery which will change everything for him. Ooh, mysterious. What I also did was, on the train home from seeing the show, wrote this: a show about romantic love, platonic friendship, love, and being there for someone even if you might have to put your big person pants on. Oh, and a warning about technology, and not taking a pill from Japan that will control your mind through a tiny computer. I mean, it's basically the same thing twice, but I quite enjoyed the second one. Take it as you will. It has kind of a sci-fi-esque genre to it. I did, on the way home, talk to my friend and said it very much gives Starkid, the guy who doesn't like musicals, vibes. If you are a Starkid fan, you will know what I'm talking about. If you're not, get to know, because that is an excellent musical. I love Starkid productions. I have seen pretty much all of them. But it had that kind of cool, slightly rocky soundtrack. It had, yeah, it just reminded me of that show quite a lot, but not in terms of the plot necessarily. Although one thing does have a computer that tries to control your brain, and the other thing has a blob that tries to, yeah, anyway. This production has been directed, or is being directed, by James Edge. James is also one of the key figures behind the theatre at the old Joint Stock, and I really enjoyed what he has done with this show. It also has choreography, which has been done by William Spencer, and video design, which I also really enjoyed, which has been done by Liam Alexandru as part of his productions company, which is Poro Loco. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. The cool thing about the set in this room, like I said, this theatre is a room at the top of a pub in central Birmingham, if you've never been. As you step into the room, you are greeted by, hopefully this is going to pop up, this. The set is, I think I counted 12, could be wrong, separate TV screens. These TV screens are used to further the story, so when it is a new scene and it comes up on the screens, It also is used at times to introduce new characters, because there are little information fact files, if you will, about that new character. And there are also little, I don't think I can call them Easter eggs, but there are little things that are put on the screen, sometimes during the scenes themselves, sometimes during the changes in the scenes. For example, at certain times there is no one on the stage as such, and there are things happening, I'm assuming, behind the scenes, and music is playing in between those pieces of dialogue. And there were things like loading world leaders, loading historic figures, and these different pictures turned up, and some of them were kind of amusing and kind of, so for example, when it's like loading world leaders, they had pictures of Boris, but they were not Boris's best bits. Did Boris have any best bits? But you know what I mean. But I really enjoyed how they were used throughout the show, and it was something different. Moving on to the cast. Now, for me, like I said, this has not been my first jump into the old Join the Stock. I have seen multiple different shows there now. I even have merch that's not merch on my wall, which is just out of shot today, but the last show that I saw, Ordinary Days, I have something that I picked up off the floor, always on my wall. But every show I've seen there previously has been a show that requires less people, and this one is its biggest cast to date for me personally. I think I counted 10, so they're still not a massive cast, but when you consider the space it is in, it is a large cast. However, saying that, each person had their time to shine and no one was forgotten about. Some of the characters themselves were not really utilised in the show itself. However, saying that, everyone was excellent and everyone had their moments individually. There we go. So let's quickly run through. Firstly, we have the lead of Jeremy. Jeremy was played by Tom Dickinson, who I recently saw in the Dear Evan Hansen UK tour. He played Jared in that. He is the lead in this show. They have similar characteristics, I feel, between the two characters, but I really did enjoy Tom as Jared in Dear Evan Hansen, and I enjoyed Tom as Jeremy in this. He took on the role brilliantly, and like I said, I really enjoyed it. Playing his best friend Michael, who has that song Michael in the Bathroom, it was Jack Carr. Now, I was looking through this morning on the programme, which is a PDF which you find through Canva at the venue. I did not realise that this was Jack's professional debut and that he is fresh out of college. Why did that my brain was like, I can't help you. Michael in the Bathroom is a powerful song. Obviously it's about him being on his own and whilst at a party after his best friend has kind of left him behind to be popular. The emotion through that song by Jack was felt by everyone. It was such an impressive performance, and so like I was so in awe, and yeah, it was absolutely brilliant and excellent. Playing the character of the Squip is Tommy Foulweather, who I've personally found fascinating to watch. The Squip is essentially the inner monologue, if you will, that comes along with the tablet from Japan. It's from Japan. Stuff. It's like an inner thing that keeps going off my head. But the script is the thing that controls Jeremy's brain once he has taken the pill. It's the supercomputer, if you will. And from the moment that he appears on stage, Tommy was absolutely brilliant. He had, I have to say, the most costume changes, I think, out of everyone. He started with like a long jacket, and he went to a short jacket, and then it went I was a fan. But whenever Tommy was on stage, I was very much watching what the script was doing. He was kind of robotic, and the movements that he did were thus, but there was something about that character, I couldn't take my eyes off it, and I really enjoyed it. It was fascinating to watch. Speaking of people who are fascinating to watch, we have Jeremy's love interest, Christine. Can you tell I've been listening to the soundtrack all morning? Christine was played by Sharon Bourne. I loved that character so much. Just the kookiness of that character, and just like, sometimes I want to sing, sometimes I want to go like, that's me, hi. Really enjoyed that character, and I really enjoyed Shannon's portrayal of her. The characters of Jeremy's dad, Mr. Ray's, and Stary Stuck Boy, try saying that quickly 5 times, were played by the wonderful Stephen Rostance. Hopefully one of those is correct. Hilarious to watch, and giving that character, or one of his characters, a full song about putting some pants on was one of my favourite things in the world, and I don't know why. But it had the message behind it. It wasn't just about physical pants, it was metaphorical pants. Love it. Also, there was the gorgeous duo of Chloe and Brooke, who were played respectively by Maya Jade Frank and Elsa, I can't read my own writing, please hold callers, Erskine. Again, loved them both individually and together. They are initially introduced to you as like the mean girls, but they're not mean, they're lovely, and in the end they have the realization that they were both jealous of each other. Plus the sexy dog costume, a thing of beauty. The role of Jake is played by Harry Chamberlain, another professional debut there, and I really enjoyed his portrayal of Jake. Although Jake is kind of one of those utilised characters who is kind of put with the lead character's love interest initially, and then kind of gets forgotten about. Sorry, Jake. Finally, rounding off the cast, I wanted to mention the 2 big vocal hitters through this show. Firstly, although she actually does it in Act 2, let's talk about Jessica Lim, who plays Jenna. In Act 2, she has an insane vocal note that she hits. I was like, ah. I was like, so amazed and in love. And the same in Act 1 with the role of Rich, who is played by John Og, and the inner It's From Japan that keeps coming around in my head, he is the person behind that. And from where I sat, literally at the end of that song, he ran off, and because the door was still slightly open to the backstage area, you could see him guzzling the amount of water, because that song is insane, and he put it all out there for that song. Also really enjoyed his character in the last scene in the show when he has casts on both arms and he has his realization. I'm like, I love that character so much. Anyway, as you can tell, loved the cast, loved this show. It is definitely going to be one of those surprise favourites from the year for me, I think, when I round up the year. It is fun, it's funny, it's a little bit silly, it's just brilliant. Plus It is in a smaller space, which had its bonus because you could see everything, but also not such a bonus in that it was like 20 million degrees when I saw this show. Thank you, summer, for coming at this time. But I definitely think it's up there with one of the must-see shows in Birmingham this summer. It is going to be on until the 31st of August. Because I have the little brochure thing, so it is performing until the 31st. Like I said, it starts at 7:30 most evenings, Saturday matinee at 2:30 and a Sunday matinee at 3. There we go. I also can't wait to see some more upcoming theatre that is there. They have got Bonnie and Clyde, another show I've never seen and know pretty much nothing about, which is on for the month of October at the Space. And they've also recently announced that they're going to do a production of Next to Normal next year in 2026, and that literally has blown my mind because I love that show so much, and I'm really excited to see it done in the Space at the old Joint Stock. But that's a story for a different day. Safe to say, I loved it. I think everyone should go and see it before it closes, and hopefully it gets another life. They did it with the Mad Ones this year. Why not do it with another show next year? I don't need to eat. I can buy all the theatre tickets. But in all seriousness, go and get a ticket. It is a fantastic show and you will not regret it. But all that's left to say is the usual. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you come back for more theatre soon. But from me, all that's left to say is this. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen and goodbye. Bye.